Okay, and it's now over to James. I'm waiting for people to be seated. Now, over to James. We'll say a few words about his very, very good friend, Fergal. Yeah, I'm fine.
Thank you very much, Miriam. As you can tell, there's no microphone here, so if you can't hear me, do that sort of thing and I'll try and speak up a bit. But thanks, Pat. Cheers, mate. Big competition going on out there, so that's not part of the show, by the way. For those of you who don't know me, my name is James. I've been a friend of Fergal's since we were at school together in Alsager. On behalf of, I think, the family and everyone who knew Fergal, thank you very much for being here today to pay your respects. Personally, I'm honoured that Miriam asked me to say a few words about him today, out of all the people who could have told a good story, and there are many of those. It's hard to sum up someone like Fergal in words. Like many of us, news of his passing left me reeling, and trying to capture his personality, his gifts, and the sense of loss has proven difficult. But solace often comes from strange quarters. Earlier this week I was writing a text message to a friend, and underneath the word Fergal in the message was a red squiggly line, which told me that his name wasn't recognised by my spell checker. I must have tapped it by accident because suddenly a notification popped up above the word Fergal and it said, "No replacements found." Aww. And it seemed fitting that even my iPhone was missing Fergal too. But joking aside, that's probably a sentiment we're all feeling now. Fergal is irreplaceable. He was unique and he was brilliant. And the world is a poorer place without him. His family and close friends have been struck by the sheer number of people who have come forward to share their memories of him from all the different areas of his life. The warmth of his personality, his wit, and his enormous sense of humour attracted people like a magnet, and once you'd met him, he was impossible to forget. His teaching, his private tuition, and his work in schools brought him into contact with many people, a lot of them children. As in so many ways, he was a natural at this work, possibly because in him, children recognised one of their own. You saw the thing with the trike, yeah. But I take comfort in thinking that he was able to pass on his gifts and his personality in some small part to the next generation. As well as being a great friend, Fergal was a constant source of amusement. The disparity between the formal life of a concert pianist, with all its black tie, its solemnity, and its reverence for the artist, couldn't have been in sharper contrast to the giant, happy clown we all knew was lurking inside. He had a few flaws, we all do, but taking himself seriously wasn't one of them. He sent himself up at every opportunity and revelled in the mirth created at his own expense. And this rare quality alone set him among the very best of people, and therefore he will be one of the most missed. Some of you will know that Fergal and I wrote a musical together, Gutter Press, on which we worked together for around 3 years. They were some of the happiest times of my life, and I was privileged enough to see his extraordinary talent as a musician in action. I lost count of the times I stood next to the piano, simply in awe of his dazzling skills as his hands flew over the keys. The ease with which he accessed the music inside of him was a joy to behold. And I loved nothing more than to boast about the guy I was working with at every opportunity.
Here.
But anyone who knew him well will appreciate that it would take me at least a couple of hours to begin to do him justice and chronicle his many adventures. But a few occasions have stuck in my mind more than others. Fergal, myself, and our great friend Stuart, who is here earlier today, one year decided to go on holiday to Turkey. And Stu and I went out on an earlier flight, checked into our tiny apartment, and had nipped across the road to the shop. It was a blazing hot afternoon, around 38 degrees, and Stu and I were already in t-shirts, flip-flops and sunglasses, when suddenly, on leaving the shop, we bumped into a strange figure, swaying in the heat, highly incongruous to the sun-drenched Mediterranean setting. He was tall, skinny as a rake, white as a sheet, wearing a tweed jacket, baggy plum-coloured trousers, and a small bag slung over his shoulder. Of course it was Fergal. Who'd just that second got down from the coach. His tweed jacket and trousers were his only change of clothes. Yeah, it's true. And lots of sweating, I think. And the shoulder bag, which was his only luggage, was later discovered to contain 2 slim volumes of musical notation, a set of headphones, and one of the Godfather films on DVD. So, fine preparation for a week's beach holiday in Turkey. More recently, I remember one evening Fergal was on his way round to my house for a beer or two, and I decided to pop out quickly to Sainsbury's across the road. I paid, left the shop, and was about to cross back over the road when my attention was captured suddenly by the sound of an accordion coming from somewhere overhead. A most distinctive sound, and one that was very unusual on Stroud Green Road at 5 p.m. on Saturday evening. I looked up and suddenly saw a tall figure breaking the silhouette of the rooftops, looming over the roads, playing the accordion. And it seemed obvious to me that whilst I was in the shop, some crazed troubadour had broken into my house, gained access to my terrace, and was in the process of serenading the bemused passers-by with an old gypsy folk song. Needless to say, it was Fergal. He spotted me, grinned with delight, and continued to play, with the passengers on the upper deck of the buses all waving as they passed. And this was the sort of thing that happened when you knew Fergal. But as well as a true friend, Fergal was an entertainer and a true bohemian. He made you think that anything was possible, and he did those things the rest of us couldn't do, constrained as we are through lack of talent, bravery or joy. He resisted any kind of formality, any fear of consequence. Many of us have, from time to time, left the house wearing odd socks, either through accident or hastiness, but Fergal was the only person I think will ever discover, several hours after leaving the house, that he was in fact wearing odd shoes. That's true as well. But last Saturday I went to see a play in London. I wasn't sure whether I was ready to go, but I did, and it was one of the most enjoyable, uplifting shows I've seen for years. And the message at the end was that you can do anything. And I emerged with my companion into a Saturday night in the middle of the West End. It was Saturday night with all the bright lights, the taxis, the pubs, the theatres and the revellers. And standing there on the pavement, 2 thoughts came to me in quick succession. The first was a deep sadness that Fergal now wouldn't be able to enjoy all these wonderful sights and sounds. But the second thought was that for those of us who survive him, we now have a new responsibility to enjoy these things on his behalf. We must pick up the flag that has fallen and carry it forward. Perhaps if we can swallow one tiny molecule of his exuberance, his energy, his joie de vivre, then we will keep Fergal alive inside of us and ourselves be more alive every day. If we can choose that flavour of ice cream we've never had before, and if we can try that extra spicy barbecue sauce that burns our mouths and makes our eyes water, if we can relish the moments that we have and live in them fully, then we'll be keeping Fergal's spirit alive through all the years to come. I'd like to finish by reading a poem. Thank you to Ben for reminding me of this. Happy the Man by John Dryden. Happy the man, and happy he alone, he who can call today his own, he who, secure within, can say, tomorrow do thy worst, for I have lived today. Be fair or foul, or rain or shine, the joys I have possessed in spite of fate are mine. Not heaven itself upon the past has power, but what has been, and I've had my hour.
Beautiful.